Hi, everyone, and welcome to Learn How Engagement First Platforms Can Power Sales. This automotive news webinar is brought to you by DriveCentric. We're delighted you're with us for this presentation. I'm Emma Hancock, host, strategist, and moderator at Automotive News. Before I introduce our speakers today, a navigation tip. We encourage you to ask questions at any time. Just type them into the Q&A box on the left side of the webinar window and then hit send. I will steer your questions to our speakers toward the end of the session. Our speakers today are Dennis Gingrich, Sales and Finance Director at the Nilo Company, John McDonald, General Manager of Sarah Toyota of Birmingham, and Steve Roessler, Chief Evangelist Officer at DriveCentric. And now we'll turn it over to Dennis, John, and Steve to get us started.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another automotive news seminar. I love these things, Emma. So it's so great that you're always hosting this. You do a great job, girl. You need a raise.
Thank you. So do you, Steve.
Well, you know. All right. Well, look, hey, everybody. This is a topic we're getting ready to go to NADA. And, you know, there's a lot of topics around, obviously, AI. You know, one of the biggest subjects that everybody on the dealership side will always face is the concept of this all-in-one platform. And conceptually, we all know all-in-one is probably CRM and DMS. The mindset that dealers have to go into going to NADA is leveraging the data in something like your CRM to start powering the AI. And so the new methodology of all-in-one is having your data with your AI together to personalize your communication. This is a new concept. It's a modern way of thinking about all-in-one systems and vendor consolidation. I think everybody going to NADA is definitely looking for vendor consolidation. So what I'd love to do is pull up Dennis and John. We're going to talk about this subject. So, hey, John, and you're going to be the first one up, baby. So you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Look at there. He said, sir, I feel so formal. All right. So look, John, you and I have talked about this. I've known John, guys, for probably 7 years. He said no to me for a long time. He was one of those GMs looking at this all-in-one platform. And John, you made a switch, obviously, but I want you to go out there and talk to the audience real quick about what I just talked about, like an all-in-one platform in your eyes today, if you don't mind speaking about that.
Absolutely, Steve, and thanks for having me. When I hear all-in-one today, I don't think about how many tools that we own or how many vendors are on contract. You know, when I think about this, to me, all-in-one means one place to serve the customer without jumping systems and without breaking the conversation. Years ago, you know, all-in-one meant CRM and DMS lived under the same company. That helped reporting. But it didn't materially improve engagement. Today, the definition has shifted. Modern all-in-one means CRM and AI live together, working in real time to support one continuous customer conversation. For us, consolidating key engagement tools into DriveCentric eliminated 6 vendors when it came to us. But the real win wasn't cost savings. It was the visibility and speed. Managers can now see text, emails, and calls all in one place, coach in real time, and ensure customer gets faster and more consistent responses. And I would say, you know, from the customer's perspective, there aren't multiple systems or handoffs. There's just one dealership, one memory, and one voice. If the technology doesn't create the experience, it's not truly all in one.
Yeah. Man, that's well said, man.
Yes, sir.
Dennis, what would you add to that, man? I mean, you know, because you know, what's your thought on all-in-one? Because, like I said, this is an interesting topic going into NADA.
Well, you know, first of all, I love the question, and again, thank you for having me on the event here today. But you know, a lot of what John would say, I would echo. I love the comment he made about, you know, all-in-one used to mean, you know, DMS and CRM, you know, which did, you know, it helps with reporting. But I think at the end of the day, we're all focused on serving the customer better. We know that when we have, you know, customer satisfaction, I think that stems from excellent communication and attentiveness by our sales teams. You know, we joke internally, everybody talks about CSI, but CSI truly does stand for customer supplies income. And if that's the case, right, we need to do a good job serving them. And as we go into NADA, as you talked about at the top of the call there, Steve, you know, going in, I think a lot of dealers, you know, are experiencing some margin compression. So we're all looking inward at our expense structure. And when you're able to collapse a number of tools, not only do you have an opportunity to maybe reduce your spend while increasing your CSI, you also create a better work environment for all of your employees. With John, we didn't eliminate quite as many vendors as John did. We ended up stripping down 4 entirely, but we were also to just, get rid of some other packages with some other vendors. Not that they were bad vendors or anything. They served their purpose and they helped us get better and serve the customer, which is we're grateful for obviously. But when you think about it, this all-in-one, this integration, John really talked about is, the communication being in one place, with everything being all in one. A lot of vendors will talk about, Steve, well, integration, but we integrate with this, we integrate with that. And I think the definition of integration, at least in our industry, a lot of companies are talking about, well, we drop a link in the notes. Well, when you have a link in the notes, you're pivoting to some other platform. And the moment we ask our salespeople, our sales managers to go into another platform that we're paying additional money for, our usage drops. And, those insights that other platform is providing, while valuable, if we can't easily find them, we're not going to use them. And that just leads to waste on the expense line and also a poor customer experience. So for me, that's what all-in-one platform is. One place our professionals can go to so they can see everything that matters when it matters most. And I would say this, if you're not seeing it, in a DriveCentric CRM, you're choosing not to see it as a sales leader.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And, the one thing that I'm just going to kind of emphasize is that's exactly what people think is the difference between integration and built in is exactly what Dennis said is I don't have to manage in other platforms. Just because somebody integrates with it, it doesn't eliminate a window. So the more that things are built in, kind of like an iPhone, really makes everybody more efficient and in one system. That's, again, the all-in-one that we're talking about. So I love that you brought that up, man. All right. So one of the things, obviously we all say, data is king, right? It's going to be the foundation of a lot of tools with AIs coming around. And I guess what I'm kind of wondering here, Dennis, and I'll just go back to you is how are you leveraging customer data? Because look, I always see that, whether it's Urban Science or the OEMs, customers are buying cars 70% of the time in 4 business days, and a lot of these stores and you go 80% out is 10 days. When I look at other CRMs and what they have for, their people, they're going out 60 days, 90 days. How do you decide, with these metrics, how do you decide to when to engage and how? How are you doing that today?
Well, I think for me, and the comment you made about a customer buying a car within 4 days, we saw the same thing even on our prior platform, which was great for us. But you go 4 days, and what I think the salespeople see, whether they can articulate it or know it consciously, they know that after 4 days, their efforts, they just come into diminishing returns. So, when we saw that, which was just plain as day, we were able to really start adjusting our processes, our cadence, and lean more into communication, and working with the customer when they needed to be focused on the most, which was really great to really get our team focused on the here and the now, and really allow AI, which is just exploding across all industries, and I think even more so in automotive, because we truly have been so archaic for so long. We're right for the picking for great companies with great solutions, to where a lot of these low value tasks, not that they don't have value, but text and emails, that can be done automated. But where we can really let our salespeople shine is allowing them to better focus on doing things where the human touch really makes a difference in driving results. And I think phone calls is definitely a place. I know some people will say, hey, the phone is dead, but you know what? Not for everybody. We see phone volume increasing. And then, of course, personalized videos. We all push for pictures, but most customers, they'll retain more information that they get from a YouTube video than they will anything written. So what better place to take that data to where we can validate it for our salespeople to get them to buy in to doing these really valuable touch points, which in my opinion are phone calls and personalized videos. And, there's all kinds of data points, how the customer prefers to communicate, when you want to communicate with them, and then just everything living in that one platform. Even the salesperson can start to see like, hey, when I do X, I get rewarded. And I think the more opportunities and moments in time where we can highlight that, the better we're going to be able to keep engaged with our salespeople, which translates over to a better customer experience, more sales, and more gross.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said a lot there. I mean, and just this is all about doing the right activity at the right time. And if AI gets the engagement and serves it up, I mean, I'm one of those guys where I always say is I don't like to just dial for dollars or drunk dial somebody, because chances are who picks up a phone anyway. If I'm not on Dennis's phone, he's not going to pick up. Let's be real. But if AI gets engagement and serves it up, you have a better likelihood of getting that customer on the phone. So I'm all about earning the right to get those customers engaged. So yeah, no, that's perfect, man. And John, this is kind of leading up, AI does a great job. We always say like warming up these leads or warming up the database and things like that, and tee it up, for a human. How are the signals that you're getting from the AI, helping you, determine when these customers are ready to buy? How are you leveraging that?
Well, from the data perspective. And I echo a lot of the same that Dennis, the same sentiment that Dennis would say, but we fundamentally changed how we think about the data. We don't use it to report on the past. We use it to decide when the engagement actually matters. And I would actually also say that, the customers are buying faster than ever. That means salespeople shouldn't spend equal time on every lead. AI initiates engagement immediately, but leadership is monitoring in real time to ensure a meaningful human touch happens within 10 minutes when the signal's justified. What DriveCentric is exposed for us was eye-popping. Even as a high-volume store, we realized we were slower and less informative than what we thought. Real-time visibility into engagement showed us gaps we didn't even know existed, and it has allowed us to close them. We look at intent signals not just as lead sources. Website revisits, repeated vehicle views, payment or trade activity, re-engagement after dormancy. When those signals stack, all flags, AI flags it, and managers ensure the right human steps in. The real result is discipline. Our engagement rate within 1 to 3 days is currently at 92%, and that doesn't even happen by accident. It's the combination of AI speed and leadership accountability. So I think I don't know if you asked me, you were asking me the second question, or you want me to more speak about the third. But
well, it's just like if the AI is getting the conversation going and serves it up for a human, they're probably, I guess your team, how are they leveraging that kind of like warm up, right? It's like, the whole thing is I get an internet lead, right? Normally I have somebody make 100 phone calls, 50 emails a day. With your having AI, the AI is, teeing it up for your humans. I would hope that that's going to be probably a better, psychological win for the people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. AI has already changed our day-to-day operations, but it's not replacing the people. It handles the heavy lifting and the first response, so our people can focus on trust, clarity, and closing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's perfect. I mean, and by the way, you said it earlier, but I just want to make sure. How are you doing so far this month? You said you were doing really well this month, or was it last month? I couldn't remember. We're killing it, man. We believe it or not, creature of habit, 27 years at our store with our auto group. And, I never ever want to go in and change anything because we've won, right? But this year, we made the change to drive, fourth quarter of last year. And as we went into the new year, got it all installed, got the database in there by the end of the year. And then, met with our advertising partners and actually dialed our advertising back about 25%. And a lot of GMs would have looked at that like being in January and gone, man, you're crazy, man. There's no way we're going to do that. Right. But we did it. We took the faith, took the leap, and man, we have literally just started blazing. It's insane
the amount of opportunities that we had inside of the tool and that we're able to work on a day-to-day basis. So it's been a huge win.
And everybody, it's just like, and John, you weren't really leveraging AI before, right?
No, we had a couple of third parties that we were using it on, but nothing in comparison to what we've got now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I just want the audience to kind of understand is AI, as what John and Dennis are saying is, and I want to echo this, is it's not replacing people. It's getting rid of those mundane tasks that we normally monitor in typical database management style. And we would rather have you guys talking to the customers that are talking back to your store and doing that discovery phase. The discovery phase takes up a lot of time. So the AI just serves it up to what John, and he's getting a lot more opportunities just because of more customers talking to the store. That's the whole point, engagement. So anyway, that was awesome, John. I appreciate it. I just want to elaborate on it because now we're going to talk about data, right? Now with AI and understanding the data, Dennis, a lot of stores historically, the data is way underutilized, right? I mean, you have like a database full of customers and we do a typical e-blast, right? That doesn't get but like a 0.1% engagement rate. Talk about how you're leveraging the data or the transition of how you're utilizing the data more.
I mean, that is such a, there's so many things to unpack in that question, but to, really keep it funneled and pointed, just all of the, the data, meaning the customer insights, when they're showing up back on our website, getting alerts about that in one platform, the data that really highlights that when you do, something that, I'm sure John has talked to his salespeople until he's blue in the face, no different than I had, is doing that long-term follow-up, those life event touches, things like birthdays and anniversaries that really maybe the top 5-10% of salespeople actually do, that really just keeps your customer engaged with you at the dealership and, drives your retention. All the data just, it gets exposed and it allows some of these, what seems trivial and unimportant to every day to day, it allows, this data just highlights, hey, these are good fundamentals that we need to do that our human beings are not necessarily enthusiastic about doing. And, we're able to take that off, and also just in terms of data. And I think this is just an industry thing, a dealership being able to give you a lifetime value of a customer. If John comes to our dealership, we want our salespeople to know that, hey, John bought 3 Porsches, 2 BMWs, and now he's looking for a Volkswagen, for his daughter. Those are things where I think data is really underused because everybody, loves personalization. And the only way to do that is to get your arms wrapped around the data, which is one, because if you don't have that clean and organized, you're not going to be able to do this. But, having a platform that really becomes the single source of truth, the single source of engagement that presents those insights to our team at the right time to deliver that great experience. And, without AI, because we all know this, there is so much data in our industry. When you think, forget about sales, talk about fixed operations. There's just so much data. You got your inspection data. You got your, how many technician recommendations did the customer buy or did they not buy? If they didn't buy, that means something, right? But when you have all these data points flowing into one place without leveraging AI, it would be impossible to do anything with it. So, I'm really excited about data and AI just really coming to the forefront of our industry. I would say it's probably about 10, 15 years too late, but you know what? We're here, the tools, the tech, it's all here right now. And, as we go into NADA and we're looking to tighten our expenses, like, I've talked about, John's mentioned it, we don't need a bunch of vendors. If we just properly work our current book of business and love the ones we're with, like we've always said, we can be more efficient, more profitable, which means our people are making more money for them and their families, and they'll enjoy coming to work. And that is why data needs to be leveraged to its maximum capacity right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I always get so mad when a dealer, how much money they spend to market and build up their database. And then we do nothing with it. And all that communication, all those things that you're mentioning about personalized customer experience, we don't leverage. But AI can do that, which kind of leads me to the next question, because this is, kind of understanding, like a lot of sales people want to fight the AI. So real quick, just to piggyback off that, Dennis, how has the AI or the tech really helped your salespeople just from a day-to-day perspective?
Well, I think about it, and this is something I've started using in my personal life. I've got a personal Gmail account, and, you get all these emails and there's a lot of garbage in there. None of it has any value to me whatsoever because I'm too lazy to go unsubscribe. But, with the current Google Gemini, it really just puts everything right in front of me so I can figure out what's important, right? And it will summarize emails that are entirely too long, and it just makes me more efficient. And even in our in our work email system, that's starting to come forward. But when we start to look at what's coming in the lead, I wish I could share this little GIF I made, and it's a little reading rainbow reminiscent. But we're always talking about read the lead, and that's not unique to the Nilo company. John's probably like, goddamn right, we got to read the lead. But I mean, the biggest thing with what we're doing now, like think about it. When we used to open a lead, you would be like scrolling and scrolling just to figure out what the hell's going on. There'd be a link, you'd go to another portal, and then you got your manager breathing down your throat about your response time, but he wants you to give a quality first response. And it's challenging. But, with these summaries that are available right in the customer card, all we have to do is train our salespeople to push one button, and they're going to get a high level, meaningful executive summary that they can put the ball in play right away and sound like they're knowledgeable and genuine and care about what the customer's looking to accomplish. We don't have forensic accountants for salespeople. They're not good at, and nor should they be just scrolling through all these details to put forth a good customer response. So, just with that, and John keyed in on it, Steve, you did the same thing. I don't think anybody's looking to replace people. We want the human in the loop. We just want to put them in a position so they can be as successful as possible, and throw the dollars and cents aside for a minute for a salesperson pay. If you're giving them the information and they can better serve their customer, it feels good to have a good interaction with the customer. It's just as a human being. And I think AI right there in and of itself, that's what we need to be looking at, is serving it up so our people feel good, because when they feel good, they perform well and they make more money for them and their families.
Yeah. I'm going to just say one thing, though, is I used to tell every store, make sure, like for 20 years, the OEMs, the shift digital reps, read the lead. Now it's important to read the conversation to get those nuggets on each and every customer. And what Dennis is talking about, there's a little button inside like Drive that kind of gives you a generate summary of everything that's happened in a customer record. If they went on vacation, if they have 3 kids, if they're married, what the wife's name is, etc. It brings everything right there so the salesperson can do a better job personalizing each and every communication. So
Steve, but I just want to, like, on that genius summary, I'm sure, John, you probably occasionally have a customer that gets a little agitated, and you hop in the CRM and you're just trying to scroll, like trying to figure out how the hell we got here. Yeah. And man, it's painful. And, just to use that to quickly solve some problems from a leadership level, saves me a ton of time on a personal note. But sorry to jump in there, Steve.
No, you're good, man. John, what do you got on that with your people?
No, I would agree 100% with what Dennis just said, because one of the biggest benefits has been the training, especially for the newer reps. They can see in real time how a conversation should sound. You get that immediate, that's what I should have said moment, which accelerates learning dramatically. In the past, a lot of AI felt bolted on. It was hit or miss, inconsistent, and had hard to go. It was hard to govern. The native AI inside the CRM is different. It gives us full visibility, consistent engagement, and one standard across the store. AI doesn't close deals for us. Humans still do that. but AI ensures no opportunity is missed, no customer waits, and no one has to guess where their time is spent.
Yeah.
Which they should be spent with their time.
No, 100%. See, that's what I hope everybody heard that. AI gets the engagement, people sell cars.
That's right.
That's the mindset that everybody has to leverage the technology and get comfortable with, which, okay, so now I'm going to go back to you, Dennis, because this is the $1 million question, and every GM and, operations person, they all cringe at this. So what have you pulled back from the tasks? Because when you get AI, you've got to understand what tasks AI is doing. It's kind of like a Roomba, right? If I get a Roomba, my Roomba sweeps. I mop. I'm not going to sweep if my, Roomba does that. So what tasks have you pulled back from that you think are, like instead of having your people do all these, huge activities, what are your people doing today?
So, again, we talked about it briefly at the, the top of the conversation, and, and it's phone and video, also, being in this business for nearly 30 years and, being, I guess, tied to, some legacy systems where everything is based on a time cadence instead of an engagement cadence. What we were able to do was just reduce those task assignments that were, hey, at day 17, you need to stand on your head and eat a bug or whatever it was for that necessary task. We just reduced it because, like I mentioned earlier, the salespeople, whether they know it consciously or not, some of those things were low value, and it really took them away from what they need to be taken care of as the customer that's, wants something and is communicating right now. So really reducing those manual tasks, getting them into, high value where they're going to get a return on their time. We're going to get a return on our investment, and not having these 30, 45, 90-day follow-up cadences that, quite honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, they weren't doing it anyway. They were just clicking some crap in the CRM so they look good on their report card so their manager will stay off their ass. And who does that benefit?
You said it and not me, man. I'm glad you said it, not me, because it happens every freaking day, baby. Hey, there's an example, I think, John, Dennis, that you wanted to highlight on the AI kind of teeing something up. I mean, I can't see it, but I'm sure the audience can.
Yeah, there was definitely something on, some AI follow-up, that we had. And it was just one of those, what I call a low value event, a birthday, an anniversary or whatever. And, our AI just reaches out like, hey, how's your car treating you? And, we should be doing that as human beings, but we don't. Maybe the top 5 to 10% of salespeople will. Yeah. But the AI does it. And then you log in there, and the next thing you know, you're watching the communication between our AI agent, the customer. It looks good. They know it's an AI agent, but they're playing. And, next thing you know, they start asking about the speakers and what has a better sound system. And then, it tees it up again, not taking the human being out of it, but it teed it up to the salesperson that sold them that car. And now all of a sudden they're on the phone, they're getting videos, and they're talking about it. Did we make that deal? No, but that is a much better opportunity than I would have had without that AI interaction. So, man, you just can't. Getting these low value follow-ups done by AI, it's just going to give a dealer those extra 10, 15 swings at the plate that, at the end of the day, if we're good, we're going to convert, a good percentage of them to car deals. And, right now, that's the difference between a black financial statement and maybe one that's not. So we need every opportunity there.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that. Not every opportunity talking is going to be a deal. You know what I mean? You can go out there and talk about, it's really about serving your community and answering the customer's question for even that future sale. So as long as that customer got a good experience, that's what you're teeing it up for the future. And that's important, right? To get that sale down the road if it wasn't today. So, all right. Well, cool. Well, everything we talk about is always about engagement. When it comes to AI, your people, but there's that dreaded problem that everybody has. It's really about customers falling through the cracks. I'm sure you both, lose sleep at night over, opportunities that are just falling through. So John, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how confident are you with this tech in AI that that customers are not falling through the crack?
Steve, I would say, historically customers did fall through the cracks, right? Not because people didn't care, but because the systems that we had in place just couldn't keep up. Today, I'm far more confident that AI engages instantly, and leadership has real-time visibility to step in when needed. The engagement is always on, even when people aren't. When we migrated from our previous CRM, we uncovered nearly 2 million customer records and opportunities sitting dormant in the database. So again, like I said, 2 million customer records and opportunities that were sitting dormant. That backlog used to be invisible. AI now allows us to activate that long tail, equity, service customers, previous shoppers, without adding headcount or wasting ad dollars. We've also changed how long humans follow up. It used to be 30 days with AI handling. Now with AI handling early engagement and prioritization, we're now at 14 days and moving towards 4. That data supports it. Roughly 70% of the customers, like you said earlier, Steve, 70% of the customers are purchasing within 3 days, and then 80% within 10. AI ensures speed, leadership ensures quality, and that combination prevents silent loss.
Man, 2 million records, man. 2 million records. That's crazy, man.
Yes, sir.
Dennis, what's your database?
So we went through the exercise after a DMS change not that long ago, and I got an updated number. We have 620,000 unique records, across the dealer group, and that is so important to have that set up and a tool in which to stay on top of those. I can't remember the statistic. I probably wasn't paying attention because I was enamored with your hair or something, Steve. But, at any given time, I think the number is 2-3% of your customer base they're looking for a car, and then there's been other comments, if you just do a good job when you've got this many records, you don't need to be spending a lot of money with various third parties. You can cut back your advertising spend, so that's where falling through the cracks happens, right? Is not tending to the people that are in our DMS that already know us, already trust us, and already look to us being a car. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting the right message at the right time in front of the right customer. So when you got your database all cleaned up and with the power of AI and, just staying on top of it, you're able to do this at a much higher level. So, putting your head on the pillow at night still becomes a little bit easier because you're going to get the proper cadence and volume of follow-up. And then what it does is it puts our sales leader in a position to coach and train on quality interactions on the human level. So I think that is really good. And, even with like the fall through crack, I've got this great story. I have a sales manager who I just love the guy to pieces. I'll even name him Curtis Ringel. He's at our BMW store. He started with us, started up a lot of sales, in success in sales, ASM. Now he's on the desk and he's one of our leaders. But, I was giving him some hassle about, some videos and phone calls as a manager. He's like, oh, it's not working. It's not working. Long story short, I have him give me a call, and lo and behold, it worked. It was just a little training opportunity, but what was really unique and, really struck me. And I think this happens more than we care to admit. We get sales professionals that make calls and they don't properly disposition the call in the CRM. And all of a sudden, this little Post-it note that's the key to a car deal gets thrown in the trash, washed in their pants, wherever, and it's gone and it falls through the cracks. But literally 7 days later, I got AI reaching out to me and saying, hey, Dennis, I know you talked to Curtis 7 days ago about ABC. Is there anything we can do to help you with your journey? And it's not that Curtis is negligent. It's not that Curtis doesn't care, like John said. It's just Curtis is busy chasing around, 14 sales professionals. He's got Mrs. Jones on the showroom floor screaming about her wheel locks And then he's got me, coming down on him about whatever. There's just a lot going on. So putting everything at the right place, right time, it's good. And we just don't lose as many deals,
No, that's what's key. And I'm going to, I think I heard, John, you said your business rules start at 30 days, 14 days, and now you're going down to 4 days. Correct, John? Real quick.
Yes. But we're going to try to do that. Absolutely. Yes.
What is your process? How did you change your business rules? Where are you guys at?
We just went to that same, just like John, we had that long-term extended follow-up on time cadence that everybody just clicked through so they wouldn't get in trouble by their manager. And now we're down to 4 days. We're pivoting it over to AI. And then, we're leveraging the tools within there to start building audience and segments to re-engage with those customers that we didn't turn into car deals. And it's just rinse and repeat, run them back through the machine and, just keep on going. And if the customer engage, we engage.
Yeah. And really, I want to put up this next slide because it's just showing the importance of the data you invested in to build your database. I love this slide, and I think we spoke about this, obviously, as we were doing this, but new customer acquisition costs 5 to 7 times more than the ones you already have that you can build retention with. Just think about that. What do we do with our database? And the money that we spent to get that database should be farmed. But our people just can't do a good job with it. We got to let AI do that job. Let them sell cars and let the AI do the farming. So I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I got one question for each of you, and then we're going to open up for questions. So let's keep the answers fairly short if possible. But, I'm going to ask you, John, so how do you stay relevant with customers who aren't shopping right now, leveraging the AI? What's your process right now?
I would say that we define the success by whether a customer chooses us again, not whether we sold them a car once. When you accept that acquiring a new customer costs 5 to 7 times more than the remaining one, 5 to 7 times more than retaining one, loyalty stops being a feel-good idea and becomes a capital strategy. Seeing real database activity changed how we operate. It led us to dial back the old spray and pray advertising mentality and focus on activating existing relationships instead of consistently buying new attention. And I would finish it up with just saying long-term loyalty today looks like relevance between purchases. Customers don't have to reintroduce themselves. We stay present during ownership, service moments, equity opportunities, and timely check-ins without always trying to sell. Engagement becomes intentional, not transactional. And when customers are ready again, we're the obvious first call.
Not transactional. Man, there you go. There's a good one right there. All right, Dennis, as far as loyalty at your store, how does loyalty look at your dealership today?
Well, we're blessed. Our fixed ops director, Tully Williams, him and his service team do a really good job. We're enjoying 70% customer retention, which is really, really great. So, that is an area that we excel in. We've been in the community for 100 years, so that certainly doesn't hurt. But, again, I kind of circle back to that, those long-term follow-ups, those what a salesperson might see as a low value touch point. We're just having something that's automatically gonna just check in. And I've got another great example. We've got a very long-term seasoned sales professional. He is point blank said, I'm not interested in becoming a manager. He is a career sales professional, and I absolutely love that. But I think what really sets Kane Carter apart at our Audi store is the birthday cards, the anniversary touches, all those things. He's like one of a few that actually does those. But that is what it takes to really drive high rates of loyalty. Is for you as a sales professional, if you want to make a true career and grow and make a lot of money, you have to be invested in that. But again, that's the top 5, 10, maybe even 2% of performers in our industry will actually do that work. And I think it's up to us as leaders to find ways to help individuals be more efficient with their time, because as you grow your book of business as a sales professional, you know, and you routinely sell 30, 40 cars a month, man, you are busy. You need some help to keep everything in front of you. And, you know, by having AI, looking at the insights, what's going on my website, reaching out on these birthdays, these anniversaries, engaging with some service data, you know, I think that is the foundation to long-term customer loyalty, is being in their face at the right time. And with AI, especially living in one platform, it becomes not only doable, but it really is like, why would I not engage with these opportunities that are serving up for me? Because they begin to understand, meaning our salespeople understand that this effort is worthwhile and I'm going to get a return on my time and effort, and that feels good.
Yeah, that's awesome that, you know, Kane does that. I mean, again, those are the little things that I always say, you know, if a salesperson can provide the differentiating factor, you know, in doing those special things, handwriting a birthday card. But the bottom line, too, is you got AI as a backup for the people that don't. You know what I mean? That's how I always kind of think about AI as a fallback when people literally take the shortcut versus doing the things that Kane's doing. That's awesome. I love that. So, all right. Hey, guys, we have like gone 45 minutes. I know it seems like forever, but now we're going to get Emma back up here because I know there's questions and we're going to rapid fire through these questions, Emma. So get these guys going. Let's have some Q&A, girl.
I will. Guys, it's great being a part of this audience today and just listening to the three of you. I will say my birthday's in 2 weeks. I've never received a birthday card from a dealer. So I think I would like one. So I'm just reassuring you guys, I like that touch point. I think it can't hurt. So I'm putting it out there. 2 weeks to
I'm sure Kane Carter would love that business.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's and you know what? I do hope I get a chance to buy a car from John and Dennis someday, because it must be fun. And if you can make it fun, then that's everything. So yeah, we do have some great questions. Just a reminder to the audience, like you know, that Q&A box is on the left side of the webinar window. So we've got about 16 minutes. Not sure we're going to get through them all, but if you have a question, shoot it over. I'm going to start with this question from Sarah. I think it's really interesting. So coming from a dealer perspective, how do the OEMs factor in for integration or data flow? What's been the experience for you guys on that?
I don't know if I understand the question.
Well,
like, are you having any? Yeah. So as we have, let's say you're using Drive now, is there any sort of involvement or questions from the automakers?
Oh, I bet
when you start to integrate, any of your AI tools?
My heart rate just elevated, so I like talking about this. But hit it, John.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that it's a situation where they have not gotten quite there yet, but I think it's happening at a very fast pace. Meaning that last year we went to NADA. There were several vendors that just started really talking, gearing it up for that AI response. So I think your OEMs are looking at that and they're going, okay, well, who's the best in the space? Who are we going to allow our dealers to utilize? Right. But, we're very fortunate to work with a manufacturer that allows us to pretty much have, carte blanche when it comes to the tools that we need to succeed. And so they didn't, I would say, Toyota and Hyundai are very, very opposite with the way that they do operate when it comes to what they'll allow you to utilize. But the tools that we are using, whether it comes to Drive or some of the ones we used in the past, they really haven't given us that hard of a time. I think that they're more concerned, making sure that the data is being the customer data is being protected more than anything versus what's actually being said. That more kind of falls back on the dealer side of it. I hope I answered that what she was looking for there.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's definitely the tale of two cities. You're fortunate you've got a Toyota franchise. I mean, they're definitely recognized, and we work with some great franchises. But, from an OEM standpoint, what we're seeing is, in some instances, I would say a large overreach in terms of, interacting with the day to day. When you look at, things that are going on across the industry, cars have become less reliable, not more reliable. And then when they start getting into the tools and technology that we as dealers need to leverage to better serve the customer, that's a challenge because, I mean, just as for instance, I was in a meeting just the other day where, they're giving us these KPIs of like, oh, we're going to track your test drives. It's like, dude, I could just go in there and click, I test drive everybody and I'm going to be a winner, and it's just, I think, hey, we measuring us on how we are with the leads they give us, great, all of that good stuff. But when it starts getting into the weeds and dictating what tools we can and can't use, quite frankly, none of them have sold a car and they can't even tell us how they communicate and how we get the information. So any OEM there that is not going to allow us to use a tool that allows our people to actually see it in one platform, I think you're doing the brand an incredible disservice, and you're certainly doing a disservice to the individuals that make a living selling cars. So that's all I'll say about that.
100%.
Yeah, well, Sarah had a follow-up, and I think you've answered it, Dennis, because she's saying, basically she wants to know how can an OEM assist, or how can they assist or not assist? And I think that's the point you're making is, they can assist, but don't get in the way.
Make good cars that people want to buy and support them with some, some incentives. I don't know. That seems to work. It seems to work for Toyota.
Well, they want a certain message to go out, and artificial intelligence isn't going to go out there and craft it up per the OEM per se. You know what I mean? It's just like what Dennis and John want to do, Emma, is they want to sell a car. They want to get the customer engaged. It doesn't have to be a specific canned message that the OEM dictates. That's what I think the answer is coming to.
And even if it is a great message, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? If nobody can see it, meaning the salesperson, it just lands on deaf ears. And it also, lends to an opportunity where we look like we don't know what the heck's going on because it's not easy to find. And, that's not a good customer experience, and it's not great for the employee.
Yeah, you just want the ability to start a conversation, like a natural conversation. Okay, that answers that. So there is a question here from Keith, and he is saying, do you have dedicated BDC agents, or does it happen with managers and salespeople? So I guess they mean like now that you're up and going with Drive, how did that whole, I guess onboarding, like how did that transition go? And is there dedicated people? Maybe in the beginning there is. How does that work?
All right, so I'll take that one off the rip. So we've never had a BDC in our stores. We operate on a round robin. So the internet lead comes in or the opportunity comes in. Same thing with inbound phone calls. Same thing with lot ups. We don't have any kind of lot up rotation or anything like that at all. It's it's kind of like you hunt, you eat what you kill, right? But as far as I would definitely say in the way we operate, and I'm not saying the BDC is the right way or wrong way. I'm not going to debate that. It's just as we're on this new platform, what this allows us to be able to do is I think it takes your okay sales associates and it makes them good. Takes your good sales associates and makes them great. It takes your great sales associates and make them elite. And the way I explained it to my team and our team is that I said, hey, look, you now basically got an assistant that's watching your back at all times. So as these opportunities are coming in, now, if you're helping, to Dennis's point earlier, you're helping Mr. and Mrs. Jones on the showroom, now, this opportunities come in. And I've got some of my associates that, they'll be in a demo drive. They get that alert on their phone. And, the AI, of course, is already kind of like tickling the customer, whatever, making sure that it's being taken care of until that they can, jump in there and take over and create that human interaction. So we still believe, that manager, has got their team of sales associates. They're holding their teams accountable. We're holding the managers accountable, right? And then the AI is assisting the managers and the sales associates be able to deliver that message to the customer and be able to ultimately lead them down the sales funnel to where we can sell a car and ultimately be successful with the transaction. We're hoping to be able to get that more in depth in service as well in the near future.
Dennis, how about you? How was the onboarding for Drive? Is it a dedicated person that goes around? How does it work for you?
Well, the onboarding, which was different for us, went well. I think, any sales leader, when you start talking about a CRM change, people will get hives because, that's a big, second, I don't know, maybe even more impactful than a DMS switch on some levels. But,
sure,
you start moving people's cheese around like that. It's, it's definitely raises some eyebrows. But I would say, the transition for us was as good as I could have hoped, and
100%.
And then starting getting unsolicited feedback from the end user that, man, this is really just made my work life better, that's huge. So that makes a big difference. Back to your question about the BDC, we don't have one. And with John, whatever you want to do, with that, I don't know that if it's the right answer, whatever the right answer is, it is for each individual. But, with all this conversation about maybe customers getting fatigued, they talk to this person for that, another person for this, and then they got to go to the finance manager, and then the manager maybe's involved. Like I'm more of the proponent, if I, a couple chefs in the kitchen's okay. I don't need a line of them. So that seems to work for us. But, we lean into our managers, we really want them. I can't remember who said it, but it'll come to me. But, there's a difference between desk managers and sales managers. We want sales managers, which mean they're involved with the sale, which means they're involved with the customer and the employee to help get it done, confirm appointments. I want them sending videos, no different than the salespeople, because everybody likes to have the manager, and the manager should be looking out for their guys when they're off. I mean, how great is that? And with everything being right in front of you, again, there's no excuse to not be an active participant in that sales department as a leader.
I'll say this too, and I didn't get a chance to say this, Dennis, earlier, but that was one of the main reasons why we did not, that while we stayed on our old platform. We've had the same DMS since 2012, 2013, and I remember what that felt like leaving our older DMS, right? And we're still on the same DMS today, but when we did the last CRM change, and I believe this was like 2016, 2017, maybe. And the main reason why we stayed on that older CRM from that 2017 number all the way up to the end of 2025 was just because, I don't want to throw all these curveballs at my sales associates because of how many curveballs they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And I remember the pain and how bad it was. So all in all, I definitely feel like that this was the most smoothest transition that we got. And I would definitely recommend if anybody, if you're on the fence about it, please don't be on the fence about it. Take that leap. It'll definitely be worth it to do it.
Well, and a quick thing on John's point, right? If you are an individual, you're a leader of a store, and you make a CRM change and it doesn't go well, people get fired for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it's on a personal note, I ain't going to tell you when you move, putting your head on the pillow at night, you're like, please, this needs to work, and then to come out on the other side, man. It's great.
We were, brother, the last one, man, we were locked up, man. It was 6-7 weeks. And not only, were we locked up for 6-7 weeks with it being just a complete nightmare of it being installed back in 2017, like I said, that old CRM basically rolled us out into a beta platform, and they didn't even let us know about it. And so we're sitting here being the guinea pigs for this new platform that they said was state of the art. And brother, let me tell you this: that in comparison, what we're on now, that thing's state of the art. This thing right here, I think the only thing I got out of it and our team, because look, we won, and you can go in and again, I'm not beating our chest about that, but we perform very well. Okay. And I think if anything that, it starved these dogs that we have here. Right. And made us what we are, and we were able to perform on that bad of a system and got it. So we became so well that now when we rolled out this great tool, that, man, it has just completely made it to where we were able to cut that advertising back the way we are and still perform the way we're doing now. So again, I don't mean to be long-winded about it, but if you're on the fence about making that switch, man, please do not do your due diligence. And I promise you will be very, very, very pleased that you did.
Love that.
So there's a quick follow-up, I think, for this question that Kristen was asking when it comes to training. And she was saying, do you utilize the university training, or do you have a different process for new employees? That was directed at John, but, for both of you, I guess, Dennis, as well.
So anytime we ever bring anybody in, we have a person we partnered with. They come in once a quarter, and we have a sales class. We've got a Steve Sarah group training manual that goes through the steps to the sale, meet and greet, pre-appraisal, transition statement, and closing. But now, of course, now we added in our CRM, the new CRM documents, and the way when we onboard an associate. So essentially, yes, we basically hold their hands. We make it, man. They have to, do that training, so they're able to, operate within inside of our store and be ready to handle the customer as those opportunities come in. Because whether a customer or whether associate's been here, 5 days or they've been here 5 years, the training is mandatory. The only way that they're going to get paid with their spiffs and maximize their pay plan is by doing the training necessary and hitting those KPIs throughout the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the, we use the Drive University, that's important when they first come on, but we're blessed. I've got 2 individuals right outside my door. One of them happens to be named Kristen. The other is Michelle, and, they are CRM wizards. So, when our team needs support, salespeople like, some one-on-one interaction, some training with somebody knows, because everybody learns a little bit different. But, again, there's no shortage of resources to be, successful with the platform. And it's just upon us to use them and hold our people accountable to, like John says, certain KPIs and training. Because if your employee's not invested in their success, it's hard to lead them to the promised land.
They're just looking at it as a job and not a career, brother. You're 100%.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we're just we're about at noon. So there's a couple of questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, but before we close out today, any parting words? Steve, we are 2 weeks from NADA?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Right.
You're going to have a booth. I know you're going to have a booth, but everything that we're talking about today, I'm imagining there might be some demos or something.
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
we're going to have a party. We're going to have a party. It'll be Mardi Gras time. So, yeah, no, look, for everybody that's going to NADA, it's, obviously, I tell everybody, hook up with all your vendor partners and definitely take note on what they're developing. Obviously, AI is going to be the hottest thing around there. I'm just telling you that AI is going to be powered by your data. Wherever you house that data, that is the future of the way automotive industry is going. So just make sure if you're going to NADA, obviously we want you to stop by and see us and learn a little bit more about our company. But I think that is going to be the future that everybody needs to be aware of, because people just aren't doing these activities in these, traditional CRM mode. But the way we're building CRM, think of it as more of a data platform powered by AI to drive engagement so people sell cars. People aren't going to be doing tasks. They're going to be selling cars.
Well, I will see you there, Steve, John, and Dennis. Any parting words? You've done such a great job kind of painting the picture, I guess, about how much this has helped and how you run your business and how you're effective. Any other tidbits you want us to know before we leave today?
The last thing I would say would just be that all-in-one means one continuous conversation. Data is about timing, not dashboards. AI removes friction. It doesn't remove people. Engagement is always on, and success is measured by lifetime relevance, not one-time wins. The future belongs to the dealership that combines clarity, discipline, and smarter platforms, not complexity.
No, I love that. And I'm looking forward to coming down to see you, Steve, and obviously the rest of our vendor partners down at NADA. But, it's definitely, the landscape has changed. And I think when it comes to AI, there's the real deal and there's a pretender. Just walking at a conference through last year, there's all these companies that I was like, man, I've never heard of these things before. And everybody's got AI. I made this button with AI, whatever it is, it's just like, wow. But, Steve's right. Your data, it's going to, AI is going to be powered by that. And, make sure you look through the noise, do your due diligence, and, really be looking to make it your salespeople, your sales team's job easier. Because if we make it easier for them, it's going to translate to the customer, and everything is going to be great here in 2026. So looking forward to seeing everybody down in Vegas.
1000%.
Well, listen, if you're in the Sacramento area, go see Dennis. If you're in Birmingham, go see John. And if you're in NADA, come see us all. We'll all be there. And that brings us to the end of our webinar today. Thanks to today's audience for the questions. They were great questions. If you asked a question that we didn't get a chance to answer, I know there were a few and they were really good. Our friends at DriveCentric will follow up by email. If you learned something from this session, please tell your peers about it. The recording will be available in about an hour. You'll find it at autonews.com/sponsored/webinars. When the webinar ends, a survey will pop up on your screen. We genuinely appreciate your feedback as it helps us create future webinars that are even more beneficial to you. Thanks again to Steve, John, Dennis, and DriveCentric for bringing us this presentation, and to you for joining us on behalf of everyone at Automotive News. Have a great rest of your day.